Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 221 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of November 15th through the 21st, 2021. My name is Tim Beeman, and I am opening the recipe box. I'm flying solo. Michael had a deadline that he was under, so he's handling that. We're recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town in the Less Desirable Studios in the Lab Industry Hill. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcatchers like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anything like that, we'd appreciate a like, a follow, and a rating. It would help us tremendously. If you're listening to us on the Triad Podcast Network, welcome and thank you. This episode of The Man Who Ate the Town is brought to you by Mojito Latin Soul Food, your go-to Cuban and Latin-inspired restaurant. Michael Mian gave me an update on Zeke. He's healthy and back in the kitchen. Mojito is running weekly food specials and Mojito drink specials. They do reservations, takeout, and deliveries to surrounding businesses like Fiddle and Fish, Broad Branch, and Wise Man. And I do know that they have updated their hours. So their new hours they're only open Thursday through Sunday. Thursday, they are open noon to 3 for quick service, which means you just are ordering and taking, I suppose. There's not people waiting on you. And then 3 to 9 full service. Friday's the same, except they're open till 10. Saturday, they're open from noon till 10 full service. Sunday, 12 noon to 6 full service. So that's what Mojitos has going on. Housekeeping stuff. No podcast. Sorry for no podcast last week. I had an allergy problem on the Sunday before, and anytime I have an allergy problem, it sucks all energy out of me. But not like sleeping wise, because I can't sleep without my CPAP, and when my nose is stopped up, then that means no CPAP. So I got very little sleep, and truthfully, I just did not feel like dealing with it, honestly. So I was so worn out and exhausted that I just couldn't be here. Now I'm doing this one today, and there will not be one next week, which is the 22nd, and not the one after Thanksgiving, which I believe is the 29th, I think. So no podcast the next 2 weeks. So, you know, still even more now than almost everyone's hiring. So get a job. Rhythm Lounge and Bar and Athena Greek Taverna announced their closures this past week. Athena is giving you till this Saturday, and Rhythm gave no notice whatsoever. Their message was, after the fact, we are now closed. Someone said they couldn't have announced it because that's their business model. And I'm like, what? So who goes in Saturday? We're open. Sunday. That was it. I'm not doing it anymore. Now, I'm sure it could be more than that, but I just find it hard that if you're thanking the customers for all their loyalty and whatever, that you would give them a little grace, and just so you know, we're not going to be here after next week or whatever. Just a week's notice would have been fine. But I mean, I don't know what's going on. It could have been that the building, the Marketplace Mall, might have not renewed their lease, might have terminated the lease. I don't know. Have someone else coming in to do something, and they just couldn't turn that down. I don't know the circumstances behind it. I don't know what this so-called business model is that I was told that they couldn't announce things because of. It wasn't them that said that, by the way. So I'm not blaming them for that. I'm not blaming anybody for it. I'm just saying a little notice would have been cool. Right? So we didn't get that, and that's all right. Athena Greek Taverna will close this Saturday, November the 20th. Michael actually wrote a nice explanation piece in the paper last week. You can find that online. I'm not going to go into it now because then I'm just repeating his words. So if you're into the authentic Greek cuisine, now I know that there are a lot of Greek restaurants in this town, but 99% of those Greek restaurants offer Mediterranean food, basically. So it's Americanized Greek food, because I don't blame them, but most restaurants here, even Italian restaurants, things like that, they water down, not literally with water, they dumb down the recipes because Americans can't handle that. They have in their head what Italian food should be, and it's not necessarily what it is. The same thing with Greek. They have in their head what Greek is, and that's still spaghetti and just gyros. And yes, those things are in Greece, but that's not authentic Greek food per se. It's authentically Greek, but it's not. When people think authentic Greek food, it's not just that stuff that we find here in the diners in this country because we can't handle real cuisine. So yeah, they're closing up. There's only 3 of them in there. They already had back down to just the husband and wife, Yanis and his wife, and then their kitchen manager or a chef, and that's all they had. And we all know when we're having to work overtime for little to no thanks, basically, then you can only go so far. With no employees that would stay on, they couldn't take a vacation. They couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't do anything. Excuse me. So they just time, you can only go on so far like that, really. Ronnie's country store downtown is closing like after 160 years or something like that. It's not really 160 years. I'm making that up. But it's been a long time. But Ronnie's retiring, from what I understand. Again, there's several articles on the interwebs that you can read about that. I believe Carol Leggett, in his infinite wisdom, has talked about it. So, yeah. Ronnie's is closing down. I know that the newspaper, the Winston-Salem Journal, has published a list of places that will be open on Thanksgiving. I don't know any of those because I haven't looked, because I'm going to be at my mom's having what we have. But you can look there and find it on Winston-Salem Journal. Look for Michael. If you don't want to go looking in the paper, look on Michael's Facebook page. He'll direct you where you need to go. Now, I did see several places say that while they won't be open for Thanksgiving, they are doing pre-orders to be picked up ahead of time. Baked Just So is doing holiday pre-orders for desserts and baked goods. Antojitos Las Delicias, Mama Zoe's were both doing pre-orders for the meal, best I can tell. Grandma Ruby's is doing sides and desserts only. Salem Kitchen has cut off its pre-orders, but it will have its grab-and-go case full for your grabbing and going. The Flower Box, even though they don't have a location, is doing pre-orders for Thanksgiving. check out their Facebook page for the information. If you order through them, you'll be picking up at On Wings Like a Dove in Old Salem. It's a church-based organization to help. I don't know what they do. I'm not religious, so I don't know. But they will have some pre-order stuff that you can pick up in Old Salem. Again, when you talk to them or email them or call them, ask where that is. So last week I got to be there when Yamas 2 hung their new sign. Or hanged. Is it hanged? Hanged their new sign. They had their new sign hung. Let's go with that. It seems like such a minor thing, really. But it's one step closer to opening. To me, signage is huge. There's no signage on the building that I'm in because nobody wants to put any money into it. But the old phrase goes, if you don't have a sign for your business, it's a sign you have no business. So, yeah, the sign's a big deal. And that means they're closer to opening, which is a big thing. The new location over off of Creekshire, or on Creekshire off of Haynes Mall Boulevard, is about 1.5 times bigger than the downtown store, at least the dining room part. The service line will actually be bigger than the original by a good bit. There will be more things on it. The kitchen is much bigger and more accessible to the kitchen staff as well. Has a nice outdoor seating area, and all the aesthetics that you know and love at Yamas will be at Yamas downtown will be at Yamas too. And they said that Yamas at Wake Forest is kicking butt. It's going really, really good, really, really well. It's basically running itself. It's run by Aramark or whoever it is that does the food service over there, but the training and everything was done by Yamas, and the branding is Yamas. So last Saturday, Stephanie and I got to participate in a preview dinner of Springhouse's new fall menu. I expected to see a few more people there, like Michael. Excuse me, but it was just me, my wife, and the food venturist Paula Leggett and her husband Ken. I never met them before, so it actually gave us a really good time to just sit and get to know them. We spent several hours there together, imbibing and conversing. That in itself, I think, was worth the price of admission, but the bonus was getting to try the delicious new offerings on this menu, which were not available to the public at that time. So we were getting things no one else could get, and they were looking at it like, ooh, I want some of that. I don't know if they were. In my head, that's what they were doing. So we started with the portobello and leek quesadilla with the charred corn salsa on top. That's not new because it was featured in the Bon Appetit magazine. But it was earthy and very accessible. I'm not one for mushrooms generally, but Tim Granadetti is a culinary ninja, so I trust him, and this was great. There was no big chunks of mushroom, which I enjoyed. And if I didn't know any better, I would have thought that there would have been like chicken or something else in there. I don't know. I liked it. I would have it again. Also part of the first course, I guess let's call it 1.5, course 1.5, was the roasted oysters that were in a bacon, spinach, pimento cheese mixture, and of course came on a bed of salt as presented oysters generally do. The brine on the oysters added to the already salty and savory aspects of the bacon and cheese, and gosh, those were so good. It was creamy. It was a mouthful. So the oysters mixed with all this just run under the broiler. But it was fantastic. Next came the creamy corn chowder. In this were onions, possibly shallots, some scallions on top, potatoes, a shrimp fritter in the middle, which was topped with one shrimp. And you think, oh, just one shrimp, but it wasn't jumbo shrimp. So it was good. The brine on that was, Paula had mentioned that the shrimp was perfect, had a perfect brine to it. And I happen to agree with her. It was perfect with the earthiness and of the onions and corn. The texture was just thick enough, damn near perfect, really. I didn't have to dredge through it, and it wasn't just running off the spoon. And I like that. I like thicker sauces and thicker soups. The shrimp fritter was well packed. It wasn't breaking up all over the place, and it wasn't hard or crunchy either. So just enough crispiness in that. Next came the salad of baby mixed greens with candied and spiced walnuts, sweet dried cranberries, and crumbled blue cheese drizzled with a lovely balsamic vinegar. Now, I know Timmy G used to make his own olive oils and balsamic. I don't know if this is his vinegar or not. It may have been, but it was good. It was just the right amount of salty, savory, earthy, and tangy with that vinegar on top. But the true star of that show was the white chocolate bread with whipped butter. That was like a dessert in the middle of the meal. It was so good. I ate every bit of that, by the way. Not that I wouldn't. I don't like to see things wasted. Next was the mahi mahi, which came on a chickpea stew with tomato harissa and Winston-Salem comeback sauce, which is Chef Tim's specialty. The fish was firm and well seasoned. The harissa it had a little bit of a kick, but not too much. And the comeback sauce was even spicier than that, but still wasn't too hot. Now, other than not expecting it to be as spicy as it was, it wasn't too much. It was just I wasn't ready for it, so I did have to drink a little bit of water. The flavors just melded so well with all that. And I'm not a huge chickpea fan either, but not like that. I like hummus and things, but again, it's Tim Graninetti. So perhaps my favorite course was what came next. This was what Chef Tim calls a study of duck. Pan roasted duck breast, which was medium rare, with an orange jus, crispy duck liver on top of candied red cabbage. The lightly seasoned duck breast was deliciously enhanced with that orange jus. It was marmalade light, but not quite that thick. So it was just reduced down, I think. I've never liked chicken livers, but duck liver is fantastic. It wasn't grainy or dusty, if you will. It was savory and had a mild flavor that wasn't gamey at all. I would eat that over and over and over. I love duck. I have grown to really, really love duck. If that's on the menu, chances are that's one of the top 2 choices I'm going to take. So, had enough food over there yet? Well, obviously we hadn't, because up next was a petit filet with a creamy, perhaps Parmesan-like beurre blanc. It was covered with lovely black truffle shavings. The filet was rare, medium rare, somewhere around there, and it just melted in your mouth. Now, that comes with asparagus, so I didn't eat that. But the other 3 at the table like asparagus, and they said that it was delicious. Those were awfully huge, large stalks of asparagus, though. So I don't know, but they said they liked it. Then came the desserts. Yes, plural, desserts. Up first, caramel flan with apple fritters The flan was, there's, you're hit or miss with flan. You get near custardy bricks or you get something that just falls apart. This was aired on the side of airy, but wasn't like you were just slicing through it and it falling all apart, and it wasn't thick at all. It was fluffy. That's what it was. And it's sweet from the caramel, but not overly so. The balance of the whole thing was really, really even. I like sopping up the caramel sauce with the apple fritter too. And I'm not an apple fritter fan. I don't like much anything apple at all. But it went well with, the fritters went well with that caramel sauce. I think Chef Tim didn't think we had enough, so he sent out this chocolate coconut mousse thing. I think they were just like, well, he said he was afraid there wasn't enough, so here you go. And they didn't really explain it well to us. But it was like chocolate on the bottom with a creamy, somewhat thick mousse on top of that with a nutty coconut layer. It was kind of like German's chocolate cake in a way. There was sea salt included in there, I know, as well as what I want to say were candied pecans, something like that, and some airy whipped cream. It was so much food, but every little bit of it was amazing, which, why wouldn't it be? We're talking about Chef Tim Graninetti. We're talking about Doc Brownstone here. You should go by and try the new menu. I will be doing a post about it either on Instagram or on the blog, or probably both. It was really good. Check out Explore Winston-Salem, an Instagram-based business to tell you all the cool and groovy things happening in our hometown. They're on Instagram as Explore Winston-Salem and on the web at explorewinstonNC.com. Yes, it's 2 N's, explorewinstonNC.com. Christy is all over it over there. She has it down. So I mentioned that we will not have a show the next 2 weeks because Saturday is my birthday, the 20th, and the next week is the weekend after Thanksgiving. So honestly, I just need a break. Last week was not the break I needed. That was the break I had to take. So this week, next 2 weeks will be the break that I need. So it's Thanksgiving next week, next Thursday. I know I talk about this every year. I'll talk about it real quick this time. It's going to be a little different for me because my parents have moved to a new house. So the house that I have been going to as an adult for Thanksgiving, they lived in it for 35 years. I kind of dread that in a lot of ways, just because, I mean, the new house is fine. It's about 15 minutes away, where it was in my car a minute and a half drive, if that. I kind of get punchy on that driveway. So it's going to be a little bit different. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm developing some kind of anxiety about it too. I think just because of it's different. And I don't mind change. I like change, but not for holidays. But my mom does all the cooking, most of the cooking. My sister makes a thing or two. I don't even remember what. And of course I make my famous, I use that term very loosely, by the way, famous breakfast deviled eggs, which if you go on to the manwhoatetown.com website and search in the search box for deviled eggs, I'm sure you will find the recipe. And if not, just hit me up and I'll send it to you. But I'm going to make that. So if Michael was here, I was going to ask him, because we've talked about his favorite parts, but I wanted to know everything else he was going to have, if he's making it or what, but he was not here, so I can't ask that. So, moving on to the next thing. Let's talk a little bit of burgers. I had 5 official burgers over the last 2 weeks. First, I had the cheeseburger at Putter's with mayonnaise, pickles, tomato, and onion. Then I had the Mama Zoe's burger the same way. Street Team Steven and I went to Mocksville on Friday. We went to 601 Burgers and Brews and had their Old Glory burger. Mayonnaise, pickles, tomato, onion, and lettuce, because it was shredded lettuce. I asked for that specifically. And mustard, a little bit of mustard. We also had their Smash Burger, which should have just been called a Smashed Burger, because that's what it was. It was 2 patties with bacon and pimento cheese between them and on grilled buns. The buns were grilled and actually kind of tasted like pancakes, what Steven and I both mentioned while we were eating. And then it's smashed, the whole thing. So what we know as smash burgers, 2 3-ounce patties rolled into a ball, put on a grill, and then smashed while it's cooking so it gets a char and even spread and all that. But this is not the same. So it's more they took the burger and smashed it. So that was funny. Then we went to Food Freaks and had their Puff Minto burger, which is bacon jam and pimento cheese. And we had also the Godfather that had pepperoni, salami, mozzarella, and pesto aioli. It was a little different, to say the least. It was odd. Then on Saturday, I had the cheeseburger at the Sherwood with mayonnaise, pickles, tomato, and onion. So here we are in the stretch, like I said last time, the burger tour. I'm going to say that there are a few that I really want to get to. Some of them may not happen. I felt like Food Freaks had to be included, at least just to be had. So there are maybe a couple more that I'm really wanting to get to. So if I get to the 28th, which is not this Saturday, or not this Sunday, but the Sunday after, and there are 1 or 2 that I hadn't got to that I really felt like needed to be tried, then I'll still have them, and the deadline for the review will be extended a little bit. But here's hoping that I can finish it, because truly I want it to be done. I'm tired of not talking about any of the burgers, and on the other end of that, I've had a lot of burgers. Not that I couldn't have this many burgers anyway. It's just I need to maybe pull back. I know Friday night I told Stephanie, I said, wherever we go, I want something light, because I had 2 whole burgers, or actually, 2 whole burgers yesterday for lunch, but 4 different things. So there's a lot of flavors and a lot of things going on. So just kind of needed a break. So we had Weston Poke, which still was protein heavy, but it was lighter and all the other stuff. I am not going to do food holidays today. For one, I thought, I was not prepared for it, because I thought Michael was going to be here and we were just going to talk about Thanksgiving stuff. And I was going to just say on Saturday coming, November 20th, is my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I'll be 51. Anybody wanting to put some math together, I'll save you all that trouble, because math is hard and math sucks. So I'm just going to tell you I'm 51, or I will be. And we're going to go have a shindig at the Catherine with some friends and spend the night and just have fun. So I'm skipping all the holidays in history for this week, like I said. But I will say that they would have been sponsored by Diamondback Grill. It is casual dining located in the heart of Buena Vista in Winston-Salem. fantastic family-owned farm-to-fork restaurant that sources most of its ingredients from local farmers. Stephanie and I actually went there Friday night. That's where I was going to have my salad or something light, but they were slam-packed, and they had like two parties in front of us just waiting to sit at the bar. So my point of all that is, A, that's great because they've got a lot of business. They felt bad that they couldn't seat me, and I said, don't feel bad. I feel great that you have all these people there. So the point is, you need to make a reservation before you go, and that's 336-722-0006. It's 336-722-0006. Tell them that I sent you. That would help me. So just tell them that. They're at 751 Avalon Road. Check out the drink menus, their special menus, because every day of the week has a different special, or every day that they're open has a different special theme menu, and then the regular menu. And if you're going for the regular menu, may I suggest the lump crab hush puppies for an appetizer. The calamari is really good. The olives, I like those a lot. For entrees, I am a huge fan of their Sloppy Joe. It is hugely sloppy and hugely fixed, so it's a big sandwich. Huge, I say. So check them out again, 751 Avalon Road, 336-722-0006. If I was going to do holidays and reference and all that stuff, I would be thanking James Eagler at foodreference.com for making me chuckle, roll my eyes, and something that had to do with what I was saying. So thanks, James. Anyway, the Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, the Beer Dads, Fan Interference, Beeswax Vinyl Daily, Wheeler's Dog, Asylum Tales from the Devereaux Diaries podcast, and the newest Useless Things Need Love Too podcast, which is just me rambling whatever I want to talk about. There's no rhyme nor reason. It's just there. You can find all those podcasts and anything you want to know about them on the network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. You'll find all you need to know right there. This is a reminder to all listeners, and it is good practice, not just for now, but for always. Wash your damn hands. Wash with warm water and soap. Wash with that soap for about 20 seconds or more. If you don't know how long that is, then just sing along to this. She's so exciting to me. She's exciting. She's so inviting to me. I've been thinking about the way you walk, baby. I like the way you talk. Tell you something I really can't hide. So yeah, that fresh from Kool and the Gang off the Emergency album. I don't know why they call them album. It's not long enough to be album. They're all EPs. Kool and the Gang always put out like 7 or 8 song albums that probably totaled less than 45 minutes. So to me, that's an EP, not an LP. But that came out on this date in 1984. So 37 years ago today. The album, not that song. That was actually the second single released after Misled. But I like that song. That's how I roll. I'm a fan of the 80s pop. Keep an eye on the blog and this podcast to find out more about food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news, send an email at tim@themanwhoatetown.com or to Michael at the newspaper. You can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter Instant Messengers. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are manwho8thetown. On Instagram, we are manwhoatethetown. We invite you to call and leave a voicemail on the podcast. Actually, any podcast on the TLD network. You can call 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422. Leave a voicemail. and we will play it on the podcast. Again, 336-422-NUM, 6862. Well, my name's Tim. I hope everyone has a magnificent Thanksgiving. And if you think about me on Saturday and just raise a glass to me for my birthday, that's okay. I like it all. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're closing the recipe box or trunk. Till next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit. Yamas. The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the man who ate the town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.